This is Jay Teaches Reading for All, Lesson 90. We'll be looking at contractions in this lesson. Contraction means to make smaller or shorter, and so we'll be looking at words like I'm, which is a shorter form of two words, I am, and this little mark right here we said was an apostrophe, and it takes the place of missing letters. And so I guess we're just kind of lazy in English sometimes, and we want to shorten things up. Instead of saying two words, we just want to say one word. So we'll be looking at some more of those. I have forgotten a couple things, which is not too unusual. One is to remind you teachers that it is perfectly fine for students to take more than one day on a lesson. When we got to lesson 85, we got to longer words, and in order to sound out these words, in order to decode these words, the student had to become familiar, skilled in breaking the word into syllables and then sounding it out. That can be difficult. So don't feel that you have to finish a lesson in one day. You can take 2-3 days on a lesson or so. That's perfectly fine. I think I did mention that several lessons ago, but I should have mentioned it again in lesson 85A, and I do not believe I did that. So better late than never, I guess. Another thing I've been forgetting to do is reminding you teachers to do independent, or have the students do independent reading. Hopefully you've gotten them a notebook where they put down the name of the book or article that they have read and the date that they've read it. You can also have them put down how much time they spent on it. I think that's a good idea. So those three things. When I first introduced it, I introduced the independent reading right in the lesson itself. Actually, I think it would be better if you did the independent reading after the lesson, because if the students get as interested in the independent reading as I hope they do, they're going to take more than 10 minutes on it. And you teachers don't have to be with them all the time. In some cases, it would be a good idea for you teachers to help the student, if you're going to get material online, to guide them to find something of interest. I mean, there are so many interesting topics when you're dealing with nonfiction. Famous people, science. I mean, you can get specific in the science category, say marine biology or something like that. Math. Again, you can get specific, maybe adding fractions. Some students really like math. I mean, that's just the way they're wired. That's not me, but some students are wired that way. Famous events in history. Some students love history. I myself, I love history and reading about famous people. Medicine. Students may be interested in different careers in medicine, maybe like nursing or dentistry. They may also be interested in careers like plumbing or electrical, or some type of a building skills. These are all shown online. Pets or pet care. Lots of students are interested in that. Some may even be thinking about being a veterinarian. And the how-to. I mean, just typing in how to bake a cake, how to play a certain instrument like a piano, how to fly a plane, how to do auto repair, geography, dance. I mean, the possibilities are almost endless. And one big plus in the independent reading is that students might find something that is so interesting that they actually wind up making a career of it. So this is really an important thing for students to engage in. All right. Now we are going to review. And in this first review, we're going to look at Ous endings, which sound like us. So students, let's see. Okay. Say these words before I do. Famous. Jealous. And I haven't said this before, but EA is, usually E, but it sometimes could be A or sometimes E. And it's E. Jealous. So it's just one of those things where a student who comes across this for the first time, they may guess long E. Good guess. Jealous or something, but not correct. And these words are, of course, out of context, which makes it harder for the student. If these words were in context, it would be a lot easier. Next one. Enormous. Glamorous. And now, IOUS sounding like Eus. Glorious. Curious. Victorious. Studious. And I don't want to get too many words before I have you teachers have the students read the words to you. So have the students read these to you. Press pause. Now we're going to read words that end in TIOUS and make the shus sound, as in cautious. Okay, so I gave you the first one, students. Cautious. Next. Nutritious. Fictitious. Infectious. And now, CIOUS can also make the shus sound in words like delicious. I gave you one before, so I'll give you another one. Delicious. Okay, students? Suspicious. Precious. Ferocious. Teachers have students read these words, beginning with cautious, to you. Now we're going to review words with the ABLE ending, a bull. Students, say these before I do. Shakeable. Believable. Let me say that again. Believable. Noticeable. reasonable, unavailable, usable. Teachers, press pause, have the students read to you. Now, IBLE endings, which sound the same, usually. Able, like tangible, okay? So, students, tangible, and then edible, gullible, sensible, audible, convertible, horrible, flexible. And press pause, teachers, and have students read these to you. Now for the contractions. I am contracted to I'm. I will contracts to I'll. I have contracts to I've. So sometimes these apostrophes can stand for more than one letter. Here the apostrophe stands for WI. Here it stands for HA. I would, I'd. So there the apostrophe stands for 1, 2, 3, 4 letters. I would, I'd. You are, your. You will, you'll. You have, you've. He is, he's. He will, he'll. He would, he'd. She is, she's. She will, she'll. She would, she'd. Let me get this over a bit here. She would, she'd. We are, we're. We will, we'll. We have, we've. We would, we'd. So now, teachers, I'd like you to have students read these to you and have them read just like I did with the 2 words first and then the contraction. So press pause and do that. In lesson 91, we are going to have more of the same. You mean there are more contractions in English? There are a lot of them. And we're going to be exposed to a bunch more in lesson 91. For example, they are contracts to their. And we will see you there in lesson 91, but it's not the there spelled like this because that means they are. It's a there meaning a certain location. And that location is lesson 91. Jay teaches reading for all YouTube. Bye for now.